I'm going to teach you a little bit of neck movement. This is going to be an awareness through movement type exercise. And this is going to be for C-spine. These are going to be controlled articular rotations, which is working on the workspace of your C-spine. So if there was a pencil coming out of the top of your head and there was a sheet of paper around you, a controlled articular rotation would be how large of a circle could you draw with your C-spine. That's a controlled articular rotation. That's assessing out, figuring out what your workspace is. Now, what I'm going to do with this awareness through movement type exercise is I'm going to ask you to emphasize two different movement traits while you're doing this controlled articular rotation. One is going to be, you're going to emphasize C-spine rotation, and the next one is going to be lateral flexion. So you're going to be doing one or the other, and you're going to try and be blocking out the other one to the best of your ability. And you're going to be doing this while you do a controlled articular rotation. Now, just before we start, this should be pain-free. And if you are experiencing pain or spasms, you're going to back off or not do this exercise. So, controlled articular rotation, we'll do the lateral flexion one first. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be ear towards shoulder to your level of comfort. You're going to leave that little bit of energy, so you're going to feel this lateral tissue flexing, and you're going to feel this tissue lengthening. And what you're going to be blocking out mentally is rotation. So you're going to start with going into C-spine flexion. You're going to max that out, and then you're going to start to go ear towards shoulder, and then ear towards shoulder, back into extension, and your mind is in your neck, and you're looking, does that start to go towards rotation? There's one. It's probably gonna. Totally okay. That's where the awareness comes in, and you're getting a little bit more physical intelligence. We're gonna go the other way. Slow segmental C-spine flexion, ear towards shoulder flexion, extension, switch, back into that zone. So I move from flexion to extension, but in this zone of lateral, and I'm just checking in with, okay, can I just leave my neck here and go through that range of motion? Now we're going to switch it up, and now we're going to go into rotation. So now, segmental ear, mid-neck, shoulder, trying to control. I got a nice C-spine flexion, chin along collarbone, and now I'm rotated, extension, switch, rotation, back to full flexion. So you see the difference there. I want really clean and beautiful twisting motion, and I want clean, beautiful lateral flexion motion, and I want them in these two zones. So let's go the other way. Dropping down into a nice full C-spine flexion, chin along collarbone, which is going to take me into this rotational zone. Rotated, flexed. I actually get a stretch through the back. It feels kind of good. And now rotating into extension, switch, rotated extension, and then rotated flexion, and back around. And you just switch back and forth between those two, and you're mentally blocking out to the best of your ability either lateral flexion or rotation, and you're just switching back and forth, so you just clean up in your brain the difference between the two, clearing up those tissues, clearing up that nervous system, and getting a little bit more intelligence in your C-spine. So I actually call those neck 1 and 2 controlled articular rotations. And then sometimes what you can do is you can be in your controlled articular rotation, and then you could be rotating, and you could have a lateral flexion. And you can start to glue together all of those motions, but what this awareness exercise does is it just gives you a little bit more awareness of all of the potential that that neck has for movement. So give those a try. If there's any confusion about some of those things that I was explaining, I didn't walk through the full protocol of what a controlled articular rotation is. What I gave you today is clearing up the difference between the lateral flexion and rotation. Those are going to be different for every single person. Some person, their neck is going to drop right down to their shoulder. They're practically going to be horizontal. Some people, it's going to be very small, and if there's pain, there's going to be other protocols that you need to go through. So give those a try, and there's a fantastic little awareness for your C-spine.